Yeah, it looks really clear on mine.
Brilliant. So Carrie looks really clear to Carrie and not so clear to the rest of us, but we're going to struggle through. You're looking absolutely wonderful anyway. Delighted to have you here.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Wonderful. So to get this started, a really quick message from Julia from Ukraine, thanking the SEO community for their support. Off we go, Julia.
Right now it is sun and it makes the feelings better. So the main goal is to say thank you very much. Thank you to all the people supporting Ukrainian employees and companies. Thank you to all the SEO influencers who contribute to this situation, spreading the words about our companies and employees who are searching for a job. We do respect all these efforts in supporting the Ukraine right now. We will win, no doubts, and I hope we will win soon, because it is really tough. Slava Ukraini, and you should say Героям слава.
Heroim Slava, although I probably said that wrong. A really lovely message from Julia. Thank you, everybody, for the support. On the left-hand side, you saw Alessia's list for people looking for work, refugees and people still in Ukraine. And on the right-hand side, companies with tight ties to Ukraine that it would be really lovely to support. I don't necessarily know all of those companies. They were companies that Alessia suggested to me as being Ukrainian-based. Now, on with the 100th episode celebration. Today we're sponsored by Ahrefs, who are giving away a bag of swag, and we decided to give a bag of swag to the people who chose the knowledge nugget that they felt was the best, most informative piece of information they got out of any of the 99 previous episodes, and both the chooser and the speaker get the bag of swag from Ahrefs. Incredibly wonderful. So if we can play that video, we've set it all up to say that today's Kalicube Tuesdays is produced in partnership with WordLift. They've been here with us for the 100 episodes. Incredible support from them. We've got the headline sponsor, Ahrefs, and we'll see Tim Soulo later on. And this is the 100th episode with Carrie Rose. And the prizes for the Knowledge Nuggets go to Evelina, who chose a Knowledge Nugget from Tom. And Salayi, excuse me, chose a knowledge nugget from Alessia about image SEO. And finally, we have Taran, who chose a knowledge nugget from the wonderful Carrie. And all of the three choosers, Taran, Salawi, and I can't remember the first name, get a bag of swag, and also the speakers, Tom, Alessia, and Corey. My memory is getting worse and worse as I get older.
You did well, I think.
Not too bad. It could have been worse. Welcome, Carrie. So we can now actually start the show. We've announced the winners. We've announced the sponsor, Ahrefs. Thank you to them, and WordLift as well. And support and stand with Ukraine. As we said at the beginning, support the SEO community. It's incredibly important. And somebody I know really well in Ukraine was saying one thing we have to make sure of is that the Ukrainian economy stands up to this war. So we need to support the economy of Ukraine so that after the war, it's still standing, still going, and our community is still strong there. So you get the song, Carrie? A quick hello and we're good to go. Welcome to the show, Carrie Rose. And almost happy birthday. You told me your birthday is in 2 days' time, 17th of March.
It is. Yes, St. Patrick's Day. I see that as a lucky thing, I think, but I'm really excited.
Brilliant. My daughter's birthday is the 17th of March. I think it's a wonderfully lucky thing, and all the best people are born on the 17th of March.
Ah, that's amazing. Yeah, that is really good. And also, like, you know, we've had a pandemic, so the last 2 years, we haven't really been able to celebrate our birthdays. So this year, I'm going away. Well, I'm only going to like a tree house. You know, one of these on Airbnb.
Right.
But that's what I need. I need to go relax in a tree house. I'm really excited.
Well, brilliant. Well, Carrie's going to a tree house. It sounds more like a kid's birthday party with jelly and ice cream to me, but that's absolutely perfect. I would be up for that, but I'm not invited, of course. Let's start with your brand SERP. I always do this. I look at people's brand SERPs, and you have a delightful knowledge panel over on the right-hand side. Really lovely results with your Twitter account. You're obviously very active on Twitter. I also wanted to point out that more and more Google is showing the company when you search for the person, and the person when you search for the company. And it's making these associations much, much, much more than it used to. So you are obviously associated with Rise at 7. Tell us really quickly who Rise at 7 are.
Yeah, sure. Search First Creative Agency. We started up 2 years ago, but we basically do everything for SEO, as long as it involves creativity as well, which is hopefully this is what this talk is about as well.
Right. Okay. So the dream, you basically created a company for your dream job.
Oh, literally it. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
It's
Wow.
literally my dream job. SEO and creativity.
Lesson number 1 from Carrie for this episode is create the company that gives you your dream job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my dream job is digging into data in the Kalicube database about what appears on brand SERP. So I did exactly the same thing.
Love it.
I think the dream is different, but the approach is similar.
You missed it. I found it hilarious because I thought if you scroll down a little bit, there might be an article about me in the Sun, and it's hilarious. Basically, I got paid by a journalist to talk about. I made something, a fireplace, basically, like out of materials, and a journalist spotted it on Twitter once and wrote a story about me, and she paid me like £300, and I was like, okay, but yeah, I think if you have a quick dig, you might be able to find that story one day.
Right, I found something from the Times. Somebody wrote an article about you from the Times.
Ah, yeah, that one's a good one. Yeah, that was more about the business and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but all of these articles, subject of in the schema markup talk, are incredibly powerful. What we've got with Kalicube is we've demonstrated that the articles about the entity yourself, for example, especially from authoritative sources like that, are incredibly powerful. But that's not what the topic is today. The topic is today, reactive SEO, making it fast. You're saying, generally speaking, we're looking long term, but we should be looking short term.
Bits of both. And I think, so when I guess I can kind of like give the gist of like when I started in the industry. I started in the industry, working in kind of content marketing and PR. And it was when you work in PR and content marketing, you do a plan, you know, a 12-month plan of what you want to achieve. And I've worked in SEO all my life. So my long-term achievements were nearly always drive organic growth. However, what I saw over time, especially in PR and in content and things like that, that when it comes to traffic, especially, user behavior changed all the time. I used to work on Jet2, for an example, and this was many years ago, but it was very common knowledge that when it was raining, Jet2's traffic peaked and bookings for holidays peaked. And I always thought, okay, so weather is a driver of search. It gets people to search for something, whether that's, you know, a holiday in Spain or whatever it is. And I always found that fascinating around consumer search behavior. And actually, although, you know, people have regular behaviors every single month, but actually it's changing a lot more faster, especially during the pandemic.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the pandemic was a great example of how fast our needs changed as we got locked down, but also, in fact, what Google managed to do really quickly. And there was a massive update towards the beginning of the pandemic. And some people were complaining about that. But I think that my theory is that at the beginning of the pandemic, user behavior changed fundamentally. And if they had left the machines to learn from this new behavior, the machines would have gone off on totally the wrong track. The machine learning would have got out of whack. And they needed to do something to change that. And the other thing is that Google My Business panels disappeared. A lot of Google My Business panels disappeared because the need wasn't there anymore. And that was incredibly interesting. Obviously, not quite what you're talking about, but that would be a great example of needing to be reactive. And I think a lot of us weren't.
Absolutely. Do you know what? Stephen Kenwright, my co-founder, he said something about 5 years ago. He always told me, and it always gave me this confidence in SEO, because he always told me that SEOs feel like they're chasing Google all the time. Users are chasing Google. But he said, they're getting it wrong. I said, why? He went, Google's chasing users. Users are moving faster than Google is. And a lot of people get that wrong, especially in SEO. And that made me think about things differently. It made me think about kind of drivers and facilitators of search, and really kind of how consumers behave and the influence of behavior as well. So I guess to kind of rewind as well as the way that I see SEO, or the way that I saw it as I started to launch my own agency. we have two sides of search, and it's drivers and facilitators. Facilitators are SEO, content, even PPC. This is when people know what they want. They want a holiday in the Maldives, or they want a brand new Audi, whatever it is. And they're searching on Google to find information, reviews, to go buy that product, etc. And this facilitating of search is a long-term thing. We want to make sure that our clients or our, brands or businesses are ranking number one for those search terms. But then there's also drivers. And I think the SEO industry lost sight of drivers over the last few years. But actually, if you see the spend in marketing overall, more brands are spending more money on search than they are on TV. And TV was always a massive driver of search.
Right.
You see a TV ad of a holiday or the brand new car or some sort of TV movie or even, and it influences people's behavior when it comes to search. So I think when it comes to driving search, a lot of people don't really know how to do that. How do we get more people to search for this product every year? Or how do we influence user search behavior in that way? So I think we started tracking it. We started tracking live search behavior similar to Google Trends. What are people searching for every minute of every day? How does that tie to big media moments? But not only big media moments, but how's it tied to the weather? How's it tied to, business news or what's going on Netflix? It could be all these different channels that's influencing driving of search, basically.
And to what extent have you managed to actually pull data out and be able to map them? I mean, you've said, for example, weather. Obviously, that's incredibly geo-sensitive, in which case that's incredibly difficult to track. And Netflix, what's on you don't know what's on at any given time because people are watching totally different things. It's what's been released. Different countries, it's a different release. How do you keep up with all of that?
APIs, if you focus on the trending, so if you focus on what's trending on Netflix, what's trending in crypto, what's trending in the Forex market when it comes to stocks and shares, and even like what's trending on Indeed. So Indeed is a company that has millions of job adverts, and you can literally see consumer behavior if you're tracking their trending searches. So if you can get access to that data, which a lot of publications and even like Pinterest and YouTube give access to data of trending stories or content on their platforms. So if you look at what's trending right now, you can obviously see the peaks and troughs. These are the things that, have a massive peak. It might be 1,000%, but you'll also see it die tomorrow. And that's not really what we should be focusing on. But actually, what are the things that rise and stay for at least 3 months? Because that's when we know that's what consumers are looking for. I always give it a good example. So during the pandemic, we was working with, we still are a spa brand. Basically, they sell spa deals. And we was doing some long-term SEO stuff. We was doing on-site content, producing a lot of guides, doing link building, all that stuff to help long-term organic growth. But what things we really missed was people weren't really booking spas. And when they was booking spas, their search behavior changed in terms of what they wanted, specific locations, specific, facilities, things like that. And one of the biggest peaks that we noticed in terms of consumer search behavior is people were looking for, during the pandemic when nobody could travel and you could only stay in the UK, people were looking for spas that had outdoor pools. And that's because we had this tracker and it basically said there was a heat wave. A heat wave was coming and it was like 32 degrees, something like that. And everybody just wanted to sit in a pool outside in the UK. And I don't know about you, but there's not many pools outside in the UK. But search demand was massive. It went up, I think, it was at 200%. And then I think it went up again to another 300%, something like that when I was tracking it. And when I Googled, okay, so who ranks for this term? When people are looking for spas with outdoor pools or outdoor hot tubs and that sort of facilities, who ranks for these terms? And it was a company called Treatwell. And they didn't really have anything good on their website. There was not, they didn't really deserve to get that ranking, in my opinion. There was nothing that good. So I said, right, let's create some on-site content. Let's do some link building. Let's do some PR activity. And let's create some, we did guides and all this sort of stuff. We turned it around in around 4 weeks, just in time for this heat wave that was coming. It was around the summer period. And now if you type it in, we rank number 1 and number 2. And that was 2 years ago. And we have not dropped in terms of positions for that term. But what I was trying to get at in terms of the strategy behind that is we knew the long-term behavior of people. But we also spotted the short-term behavior. What was people looking for at that time? Because we know as well, when there's a heat wave coming, it more than likely will happen again. And we rank number 1 and number 2 for it. That's a kind of really simple example.
Yeah, no, 100%. And kind of focusing on things that do affect your user behavior, like the heat wave. I thought it was going to be they wanted to be outside because they didn't want to wear a mask, but that's a different problem. Because I actually went to a hotel in the middle of the pandemic and they had an indoor spa. And I was thinking, oh, I'll just sit in the spa. It'd be really cool. They closed it because you couldn't go in. So I was terribly disappointed, and they didn't tell me what I booked. But that's another problem.
That was another reason. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, you mentioned brand, or you mentioned searching for specific products, and that for me that comes back to brands and products. How important is that in your strategies to get people to drive those brand searches?
Massive. So,
we agree. How lovely.
So Tom, I forgot his last name, but he did a talk a couple of on your video actually on this exact thing. Tom from Moz. Tom Kappa?
Oh no, Tom Critchlow was on the show.
Might have been Tom Critchlow then. I don't know.
Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, somebody called Tom in the SEO, I'll have to send it, I'll tweet it out, basically has done a study and they looked at the ranking factors of looked at maybe 500 brands across time. And essentially what they realized is branded search is correlating with position 1 rankings more than links. So basically, if you...
No, I'm sorry, I've got a really good story for that. In fact, one of my ex-clients, flower delivery company in France called Ahrefs Prize.
Okay, tell me more.
And what they did every Mother's Day and every St. Valentine's Day, they pushed out absolutely loads of ads for the 4 days before. And what happened is they were ranking second to Interflora for every single term, flower delivery, name of town, in any town in France. And for those 4 days, they would go number 1. And after the 4 days, they stopped the ads and they went back down again. It happened every year for 3 years. It was brilliant.
Yep. So exactly it. We're seeing the same. What we're seeing is, so historically, you know, the famous, in the flower industry especially, Interflora is very famously well known for building loads of links to the website just in time for Mother's Day to help rankings. And that worked years ago. Doesn't anymore. Actually, what we're seeing is if we can get more people to search for, you know, the brand plus the keyword, that's even better. So if you can get more people to search for Skyscanner flights or I'm trying to think.
Flowers.
Yeah, exactly. Auto Trader or, you know, BMW or whatever it is. If you could get more people to search for the brand and the keyword, that is correlating with number 1 rankings more than links than ever has. And that's the most interesting thing. So we've started to run a lot of work and campaigns around how do we get people to search? How do we get people to search for brand plus keyword?
That was my question then. So this is going to be a knowledge nugget, I'm sure. How do you get people to search for brand plus keyword?
Brand campaigns, get people to you have to be very clear. This is why SEO needs to be part of branding, needs to be part of PR and all of these like brand activities. I'm so passionate about it. And the reason being is you have to be clever with it because you could also get people to search for something that you don't want. I'll give you a good example. So this is really interesting. This was maybe summertime last year. We was tracking search demand for fashion products. We work with a lot of fashion brands. So we're tracking hundreds of thousands of keywords across different things. Anyway, one of our trackers basically said that pink jeans, very specific product, pink jeans was trending on search. And this is just on Google. So it went up about 2000%. And we were thinking, you know, I've never worn a pair of pink jeans. So it's very rare. Like, why is pink jeans trending? And we looked into it and it's because Zara had done some brand ads on TikTok. And it was all of these gorgeous girls wearing these pink jeans, doing these dances, you know, as they do on TikTok. But it basically created a trend for pink jeans. Everybody wanted to wear them. So searches went up. Zara sold out because people saw the ads, you know, they knew Zara sold these pink jeans. But actually, Zara pink jeans searches for brand and the product was a lot lower than the actual product. So people just wanted pink jeans. They didn't care whether it was from Zara. They didn't care where it was from. They just wanted pink jeans. But when I Googled pink jeans, Zara were nowhere to be seen. So Zara didn't even rank for that keyword.
I was going to ask that. Did they actually plan ahead? And the answer is no, they didn't.
No. And that's when I was like, right, I've got something. I always remember this. Oh, it was the best feeling in the world, you know, because I remember thinking, brands are using TikTok, they're using TV ads, they're using paid social, all of these things to drive consumer demand for products like pink jeans, for an example, but they don't even rank for it. So you can tell that brand and SEO teams don't work together. So I said, what if we reverse engineer this? What if I pull a list of everything we rank number 1 for, and we run brand campaigns off the back of that, whether that's TV ads, TikTok campaigns, influencers, and get everybody to be talking about this product. And because we rank number 1 and the search demand goes up, we get the traffic. So we did it. We did a campaign with Pretty Little Thing. We pulled the top 10 products that they ranked number 1 for. And one of them, we also, considered how much product we have in stock to make sure if we're creating a trend, we need to make sure that we can actually serve this, and don't sell out quickly. So we pulled a list of 10 products that they ranked number 1 for. And one of them was something called, it's a halter neck top. It's a very specific style top in summer that a lot of girls wear, I guess. Searches per month was around 36,000 before we did the campaign. And what we did is we did influencers, TikTok ads, email marketing, social media. We did all of this thing, and all to get a search trend around halter neck top. Halter neck tops went up 860% in the space of 5 days. We drove 80,000 people to Pretty Little Thing, organic, no paid, literally organically, and that's because we ranked number 1 for that term. So we basically reversed engineered search trends. We got more people to search for that, and off the back of it, completely sold out the product. And that's what I think a lot of the SEO industry. I've worked in SEO all my life, and I've always thought there's something missing here. We can impact search behavior. And similar thing happened with Misguided. So fashion is
sorry, just to come back to that. I mean, you're talking big brands who can actually drive this massive volume. For a smaller brand, what can you effectively do? I mean, content strategies. What we do is push out an awful lot of content, and we drive searches around our brand and for the topics around our Kalicube, knowledge panels, brand SERPs. Brand SERPs being a great example is we created the term, and we've created a demand for a term that didn't exist a year ago. And it's been a real struggle. What can you do? What can you suggest to me as a small company with a very small budget and a tiny team that I can do?
Content marketing is the thing. It's literally, if you can create on-site content, if you can promote that through social media, because social media is free, then that's the way that you can get people to search for your brand and your product. Ultimately, if you take, especially in the B2B tech space, take Monday.com. I love what they're doing right now. Monday.com have got massive budgets, and they're doing everything from out of home, the underground and things like that right now. But when they first ever started, all they had was social media and a blog. But that's what got people to know about Monday.com. They started, so Monday.com's key competitor was Asana. And what they did from a content strategy point of view is they basically said, right, Asana, we're going after you. So they created a shit ton of content on their blog and on their website, which is Monday.com versus Asana. Which one is better? Monday.com versus Asana. Top tricks of, using our tools or whatever. So they went after Asana, and straight away, people who was using Asana started seeing the Monday.com content, and they may not have seen Monday.com before, but they drove branded search. People were searching for Monday.com project management tool. They wanted to know about it. So that was a real clever strategy that, in my opinion, Monday.com did when they basically got a competitor and said, we're competing now. Nobody else deserves to be in these brand SERPs, or we're coming after you. And I think people do that in PPC quite a lot. I always remember the famous, this is a big budget one, but the famous example of iPhone bidding on Samsung key terms. But yeah, using PPC again that is what drives people to search, because you're building a brand. I've always noticed that when you're a smaller business, you always start with kind of on-site content, PPC, and social media, and then you build up the brand from there. But yeah, I think that Monday.com was one of the best organic examples.
Brilliant. Well, that's what we'll do then. John Mueller was talking about pull searches, and when he says pull searches, he actually means branded search. And one thing he said a few times on Twitter, which really pleases me, obviously, because I'm in brand SERPs, is everybody should be focusing more on brand SERPs. They don't look at it enough. There you go, the brand SERP guy. This is me educating Google. And that's, you were saying earlier on that Stephen was talking about not chasing Google. And for me, it's not chasing Google, it's educating Google, who you are, what you do, who your audience is, so that it can match you to the people who actually need what you're providing.
Exactly. And that's really what Google is always trying to do, is go, okay, well, who is the best person to answer this query when it comes to flights to Maldives, or when it comes to buying an Audi or buying the next pet or whatever it is. So if you can attach your brand to that keyword. So one of the most clever things that I did is, digital PR is a big driver of what we do, because digital PR not only facilitates search because we build links, but it drives search. It's campaigns that get the brand out there. We're building links not only on, your regular publications, but on national press. And this is driving people to search for the brand off the back of that. And what I did is I wanted to make sure that Rise at 7 were the brand known for digital PR. And if you type in digital PR agency, I think we rank #1 now, but that's because of the brand activity we've done. I have not spent a penny on SEO. Not a penny. My SEO team haven't even looked at my website, because I only went live with a new website last week, to be fair. The website I built was the one in my bedroom that I did when I first launched the agency. But you can see that Google is ranking Rise at 7 for digital PR terms, for an example, because that's what we're known for as a brand. So I think brand is massively important.
No, 100%. And in fact, Carrie Rose talks a lot about topical authority, and Andrea Volpini from WordLift. That idea of attaching your brand to a topic, it's incredibly important. The topic layer and the knowledge graph, it's all getting really exciting from that point of view. But kind of one thing I do see is that brands drive a lot of branded search or brand searches. And yet when you look at their brand SERP, it isn't thought through. It isn't optimized. It doesn't look brilliant, which is one of the things I'm finding very frustrating, because from my perspective, that's your business card.
Yeah,
people are looking at that to your homepage. Here's, I'm asking you for advice. What can I do to get people more excited about this terribly boring pool search topic?
Oh, interesting.
Or have I put you on the spot?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, I do apologize. Sorry.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry. I mean, from my perspective, driving brand searches immediately kind of pushes up the presence of my brand, which I really love. And I'm terribly, terribly keen on that idea. But it doesn't drive my topic. And I'm kind of thinking, how can I drive my topic to get people to search for my topic? Which is something I'm struggling with doing. And once again, coming back to the idea, I don't have a massive Google Ads budget, or TikTok budget for that matter. I've never thought about TikTok.
TikTok is actually quite cheap, by the way. It's one of the cheapest platforms for getting your brand out there in terms of paid, which is, I guess, a fun fact for people to know.
Have you driven TikTok strategy successfully?
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
Oh, right.
It's been huge, especially from a search point of view. TikTok is one of the biggest drivers of search right now. It sells out not only of products, but also behavior. So I kind of touched on this before, but there was a lot of influencers around September time. Everybody was in Dubai. I don't know why, but everybody was in Dubai. It was just like a thing. And there was videos and all of this sort of stuff around Dubai on TikTok. And basically the tracker that I use, we've built our own, and it looked at trending searches basically. And Dubai searches skyrocketed over 3,000%. And I basically looked into who was ranking. It was TUI. And I messaged the person, because I know who works at TUI, and I just said, I bet you guys have got a lot of traffic right now for Dubai. And she was like, yeah, how do you know? And I said, because I'm tracking right now of what's going on TikTok off the back of it. Locate trends other than Google Trends.
All right. So just for the people who are listening and not watching, we've just got a question from Zanet Design. Carrie, are there any tools you would recommend that would help locate trends other than Google Trends?
Yes.
The answer is Rise at 7, isn't it?
Rise at 7. This is the thing, because there's trends everywhere and no one really pulled them into one. So we've created this live tool, and it's a dashboard. It's honestly a dashboard but it tracks everything. The markets, it tracks site search. I think a lot of people forget what's going on your website. So if you're working with a travel brand, for an example, you can literally see live what people are searching for in terms of destinations, where they want to go. And that was the biggest, most important thing for me. So I was working with a flight company called Next Vacay. They're in the US, sorry. And they basically sell flight deals. And as you can imagine, their industry was extremely reactive during the pandemic. Right, they could not plan for anything. That, 1 minute things were on a red list, next amber, next red, then green. Oh my God, it was up there everywhere. But we could see, I did not need to follow the government in terms of what countries were open, because all I needed to look at is site search. And that was the most interesting thing. I could literally see where people was wanting to go off the back of, government announcing Australia is open, or you could now fly to Ireland, or whatever it is. So we was tracking kind of live searches on site search to understand consumer search behavior, and therefore using that as a way to remarket. So whether that's through email marketing, social media, pushing posts out on social and things like that, but on-site content, and putting that at the forefront of the blog to make sure that, okay, well, everybody's searching right now to get to Dubai. How do we make sure that we come up all the time when it comes to Dubai? So I think that reactive approach really helped with Next Vacay in that time.
Yeah, and kind of, I think the thing people would be frightened of with that is being too late to the party. I.e., you see the trend, you create your content, and it's already too late.
Yeah.
Is there a way around that, or is it a losing game unless you actually predict what's going to be coming?
So at Rise,
or as you said earlier, create what's going to be happening by creating the demand.
Or that, yeah, you have full control then. You can literally, I said this to, I'm working with a UK travel brand, and I said, now I know how to create search demand. I can get people, so they rank #1 for Cornwall holidays, because that's one of their biggest search term. Everybody going to Cornwall and booking like UK holidays. And I said, what if I ran a campaign to get everybody in Cornwall? Everybody book it. And they was like, yeah, how do we do that? Because that's going to be worth millions to us. And so it's so powerful how much SEOs can actually drive people to search through content marketing, using PR, working with your brand teams. I was just about to say something then, which was really important. I thought it was really interesting that you mentioned.
Oh, right. And I interrupted. Oh, I do apologize.
It's all right.
Very rude of me.
What was it?
I don't know. And that's the unfortunate thing is I can't read your mind.
I know, right?
I completely messed up the moment when you were going to say the most incredible, insightful thing in the entire universe. That moment is now gone, and humanity will never know.
It'll come back to me. It always does. I guess to answer the question that was mentioned just before. So which tools are the best to use when it comes to, looking at trends? Google Trends, which is obvious. Twitter, so Twitter has a trending search. Trending topics when it comes to Twitter. Pinterest, so Pinterest basically shows all of the trending topics on Pinterest in the UK, US, and Europe as well. So for an example, I work with a kitchen retailer, and we saw that kitchens with islands in the middle was trending the other day. It must have been like something happened, basically getting everybody to search for it. And I send that information. This is what's trending right now on Pinterest. So we looked at Google, we looked at Amazon, all these different kind of platforms, because actually people are searching everywhere. And we saw the exact same story, that they weren't just searching for kitchens with these islands on in there, but also on Google as well. So we sent this insight to our client. The first thing that they did is put email marketing out, paid social medias, paid ads, basically, so that they could capture that traffic. So Pinterest is one of them. What else is there? If you head to, I'll have to tweet them out, but if you go on, there's a government trending searches website. Basically, the government reveal what people are searching for on their website, and it could be due to like tax rebates, things like that. It doesn't sound that interesting, but actually it is really interesting. YouTube as well. So if you use keyword.tool.io, for an example, you can look at trending searches on YouTube as well.
Brilliant. Oh, wonderful. Right. That's a really nice way to finish it. And I love trending topics on Twitter is the new tongue twister.
Yeah, that was hard work.
But I've been practicing in my head while you were talking. I was actually listening to you, but I was going around in my head because then I could get it right. Trending topics in Twitter is a new tongue twister. Boom. Thank you very much. Thank you, Carrie. That was absolutely lovely. I cheated at the end there with my tongue twister. It was really interesting conversation. I loved what you were talking about. I love what you guys are doing at Rise at 7. Thank you for celebrating our 100th anniversary.
Yay.
And I'm now going to announce next week with Tim Soulo, revealing the secrets of keyword data. That's going to be incredibly interesting. Yes. Tim's a great guy, incredibly intelligent. I've interviewed him before in Australia, and he's coming back next week to talk about all of that stuff. Can you please pass the baton, Carrie?
Yes, sure. I'll pass. Do I go that way or the other way?
It's really difficult, yeah. So you've passed the baton, right? Brilliant, wonderful. Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you, everybody, for watching. That was absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Anton, who's behind the scenes in Ukraine, safely away from Kiev, in the middle of the country somewhere. Glad you're safe, Anton. Thank you for joining us today, and see you very soon.
Thank you.